Welcome back to Now Go See It. Today we're in Gqeberha, another stop on our Norwegian cruise of the Indian Ocean coast of Africa. We got off the ship and everything about disembarkation was surprisingly easy. The buses were waiting right outside the gangway. No chaos, no lines. Just boarded the coach and settled in for the roughly 1 hour ride inland to the Sundays River. We'll be taking a canoeing excursion. It's not the kind of drive that's crammed with scenic landmarks, just a nice ride into the South African countryside. Now, before we get to the canoe part, let's talk about the name, Gqeberha. The port is still often referred to as Port Elizabeth. The name officially changed in 2021 as part of a broader push across South Africa to reclaim indigenous place names. The new name refers to a small river running through the area. When said correctly, which I'm struggling with today, Gqeberha begins with a click sound at the start, something that's very much part of the Kaseya language. You hear it spoken all over this part of the country. While many still call it Port Elizabeth, for locals, the name shift was well overdue. So where is Gqeberha? It's part of the larger Nelson Mandela Bay metro area. The city sits on Algoa Bay and is one of South Africa's main ports. For most cruise passengers, this really isn't a city visit kind of stop. Most people head straight for nature. The region is best known for Addo Elephant National Park, which is just under an hour from the port. You can do a full day game drive there and stand a decent chance of seeing elephants, zebras, warthogs, and maybe even lions. It's not quite Kruger, but it's a great shore excursion. There's also Donkin Reserve, a quick and quirky urban park with a pyramid-shaped monument, some art installations, and the largest flag in the country. You've also got city tours that hit up Art Deco buildings and old colonial streets if that's your thing. But I was here for something quieter and more immersive, paddling down the Sundays River. We pulled into Crisscross Adventures mid-morning. This isn't some random tourist operation tossed together for cruise traffic. It's a well-established adventure company that's been around since 2004. It was founded by a guy named Chris Pickles, who sounds like a character out of a Netflix outdoor docuseries. He grew up exploring this area and basically turned his childhood adventures into a business. His wife Terry helps run things too. The staff is tight-knit and clearly loves what they do. Crisscross offers all kinds of activities: game drives, mountain biking, sandboarding, and of course canoeing. The company's entire vibe is about showing off this part of the Eastern Cape. Not just the animals, but the land, the plants, the birds, and even the weird lizards. They emphasize conservation and education without turning it into a lecture.
We're near the banks of the Sunday River in South Africa. Today we're going on an awesome canoe ride down the river. Join us.
Once we got our quick safety briefing, we were teamed up into even-numbered groups and loaded into our canoes. I joined a nice British family of 3. I dusted off my long-dormant canoeing skills from the Scouts. I earned the canoeing merit badge when I was about 12 and haven't touched a paddle much since. But it all came back. J-stroke, draw-stroke, how to pivot without capsizing. I wouldn't say I was graceful, but I definitely wasn't the one causing the canoe to veer off into the reeds. This part of the country has 5 distinct vegetation biomes, which makes it unusually diverse. And it's malaria-free, so you don't need to worry about all the stuff that comes with tropical zones. Their guides are certified, trained, and licensed. It's a professional setup with a relaxed, welcoming tone. The Sundays River is calm. You're not battling rapids or dramatic currents. It's a slow-moving river with very few surprises. That makes it great for beginners, or for anyone just wanting to zone out and enjoy the scenery. You basically float along with minor paddling corrections here and there. You're still paddling, but you're not working up a sweat, unless you want to. The landscape around the river is dry and shrubby, with dunes in the distance and birds everywhere. Our guides were the right balance of informative and low-key. They weren't trying to impress us with rehearsed lines, they just knew their stuff and seemed genuinely excited to show it off. We spotted kingfishers, herons, and a few birds that the river guides were happy to tell us more about. One of the guides pointed out a leguan, a type of monitor lizard perched on a branch near the riverbank. It was still, watching us, totally unbothered. These guides can grow over 6 feet, but the one we saw was about half that. Still, not something you see every day. Midway through, one of the guides pulled to the side and out came the cooler. As we passed, we were handed a cold South African beer. I chose a Flying Fish cider, which is technically a cider beer fusion. It has a citrus twist and isn't overly sweet. Think beer with personality, not soda with alcohol. It hit the spot. The total time in the water was about 2 hours, maybe a bit more. We ended the trip downstream from where we started, so we didn't have to paddle back upstream or do a loop. Just one continuous float with a ride waiting for us at the other end. Once back at the Crisscross base, we were invited to a communal meal. This wasn't a box lunch type of thing. This was a full spread. Roasted meats, grilled veggies, local sides, and fresh baked bread. Almost everything had been sourced from the surrounding farm. I know everyone loves to say farm to table, but this was actually that. No branding, no slogans, just really well-cooked food served under a shaded structure with a long table. It ended up being the best meal I had on the entire cruise. It wasn't fancy, but it was delicious and filling. The drive back to the port passed through more open terrain. Acacia trees, low shrub, and the occasional township or roadside stand. It's not especially scenic, but it gives you a better sense of what daily life looks like in the Eastern Cape. There's enough variation to keep it interesting. This was an easy win for a shore excursion. It wasn't exhausting, didn't feel like a tourist trap, and actually gave you a chance to get out into the real South African nature without making a whole production of it. The guides were solid, the beer was cold, the canoeing was exactly the right level of effort, and the food worth a trip on its own. If you like this kind of travel content, hit like, hit subscribe, and check out the site at nowgoseeit.com for more about this cruise port and other stops on our NCL African cruise. Now go see Gqeberha, Port Elizabeth, South Africa.